Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor, and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Sagittarius. If Sagittarius is your solar, lunar, ascendant / rising sign, then this is a message for you. All right, let's get started. And so tonight, Sagittarius, we have, yes, that Queen of Wands energy. And the Queen of Wands is one who has been through many chapters of her life, right? Has been through a lot of change and has really reached this point of being quite fortified, right? Pretty dang strong, but yet retaining the ability to still love, to be compassionate, empathetic. But you don't mess around with the Queen of Wands, not by any measure. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look here. Now, if you have not subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit that little bell. It'll let you know when the next readings are coming out. Also, if you want to like or leave a comment, I'd love to hear from you. And I'm just going to mention here right at the beginning, I have a post over in the community section. It is a place for all of you to advertise your channels, your services, your small businesses, your books, your artwork, whatever it is. Okay. Every few months or so, I myself and my husband, shout out to Dove and Serpent Tarot. That's my husband over there, Paul. We like to put these posts up so that we can give you a space to, well, maybe get some more followers, get some more eyes on your work. You know, and maybe you get a customer or two, or maybe more than that. I don't know. I know that it has been successful in the past for people. So, yeah, head over there, post up your info. And if you don't have a business or a channel, just go over there and check it out because there's a lot of cool stuff that people are doing. Okay. I just saw this morning, which I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Somebody posted about their ASMR channel. And actually, let me look at the name because I don't want to skip over the name. I have to pull it up here. But they have an ASMR channel and they do brown noise as well. They also happen to be from Minnesota. So, of course, I'm like, yes, I'm going to totally check that out, help our fellow Minnesotans out, and also enjoy their Minnesota native sounds that they are recording and sharing here. Okay, so let's take a look. Where is it? Oh, yes, Outdoor Services LLC. Outdoor Services LLC. And you can see it over on the on that post. Okay, now let's get to our readings. I know this has been kind of a long intro, but I really do love to put up these posts because I get to know who is watching the readings. I get to know what kinds of things you all are doing. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and I want to look at this face right here. We have an eye, we have a nose, kind of a large face here. They're the head, right? Hair up here, but it kind of also looks like we have maybe like a little puppy right here, the face of a puppy. We have eyes right here. We have the little nose right here, and you can see kind of that. You know, when you're a kid and you draw a picture of a puppy or a cat, that kind of, you know, the nose and then the two little lines that kind of go off either way, and the mouth. And then we have the ear kind of hanging down right here. Okay, so I feel like there is maybe somebody, and I feel like this is somebody that I feel like you were friends when you were young. Maybe not best friends, but I think that you were friendly. You were maybe in class together, maybe in elementary school or grade school. And for whatever reason, you lost touch, as you know, we do, right, as we grow up. And I feel like recently, at least in the last like 6 months or so, you have been either like kind of running into this person more often. Maybe it is that you like moved home or they moved home and now you live in the same area. You're kind of seeing them more often. Maybe your kids are the same age or your grandchildren. But I can see that there is a really close bond forming. Okay. And that's why we have that dog over there. Not because they're a dog, right? Although, yes, having a best friend as a dog sounds pretty awesome. But I do feel like when we have the dog, unless it's in a posture that seems like it is, you know, like in an attack mode or it's barking. Sometimes we'll have figures where you can see the mouth is open and it looks like they're barking. Well, this one, it's all about loyalty. It's about closeness. It's about friendship, about really just kind of getting into a place where it's pretty unconditional in the way that you feel about each other, right? And I think that's so rare as we get older. I mean, you know, maybe with family, especially with the kids in the family, right? You have a granddaughter, a grandson, and yeah, that's probably going to be unconditional love. But to meet or to kind of become reacquainted with somebody, yeah, it seems really... I can't even imagine, honestly. I have some like solid friendships from, you know, a lifetime ago, and I would say that they're pretty unconditional. One in particular, my beautiful Aries goddess, who is my best friend, you know, that's unconditional for me. There's nothing that could happen. I mean, nothing that I would not support her and, you know, be like right next to her and whatever, right? But I can't imagine meeting somebody right now, you know? But maybe I'm wrong because I just met my husband, you know, not a little less than 10 years ago. And I felt pretty, pretty old then too. So, you know, maybe it's possible, but I think it's a rare event. So I see this as being quite a blessing, right? And you might be sitting here thinking, Sagittarius, I mean, I don't need another friend. I have plenty of friends. You're very popular, you Sagittarius people. You're definitely, I think of every Sagittarius, especially the women in my life that are Sagittarius, as being the people that like you go to the grocery store with them and every 5 minutes or so they're running into somebody who they know, who they're gonna like catch up with, have a conversation, and it doesn't feel like a put on, right? For me, you meet me in the grocery store, I might seem a little bit awkward. I might seem like I'm, you know, really like tuning it way up. That real friendly personality, trying to just get through the small talk and be polite and all of that. And that's because I'm an awkward Virgo, right? But a Sagittarius person, you just have that ability to connect to people. And you really do care about people. I mean, deeply. And so it doesn't surprise me that a Sagittarius person would be, you know, developing this kind of deep friendship. But I almost feel like for you, it wasn't something you were expecting. And maybe it was even something that you kind of, I don't know, kind of steer it away from, right? Like, I don't have time for this kind of friendship, you know? I have my family, I have my work, I have my household to take care of, you know? I'm busy. But then it's, you know, the universe puts us in each other's paths. And so I see this bond becoming quite strong here, okay? And it's not a bad thing, not at all. Now we have, it looks like the name Neil, although, and I'm trying to picture it in my head. I think Neil is spelled, is it Niel? This one's Neil. And sometimes the words are mixed up. And also I'm very bad at spelling, so you'll just have to, I'm trying to see. How do you spell Neil? How do we spell Neil? Well, it could be spelled both ways, apparently. So I'm not wrong, but I'm not right. The one I was looking for is spelled Neil, but it can be spelled the other way as well. So, yeah, here we go. We have Neil right down here. And let's get right into there. It's Neil. Neil. Okay, so I don't know who that is, but it seems important. We also have the number 617. 617. And it looks like it says NY here. NY. So maybe like New York or something, or maybe it's the beginning. Maybe it's the beginning of Nyx, the goddess. Let's see. What else is going on? So, oh yeah. It looks like we have this, almost like a scooter. Is that what the scooter, Razor, like a Razor scooter? I think that might be a brand. But we have that there. We have a person running after it, and we have another person back here kind of standing and watching. Up here we have a person on a motorcycle, it looks like. And I almost feel like there was a chance. I'm thinking that this is a relationship, right? Where maybe, and this feels like maybe when you were young, you know, like a late teenager, early 20s, like a love affair. Very powerful. Maybe, you know, the love of your life. Now, you might be married to somebody else now, and that might be as intense or a different kind of love altogether, right? But I think that this first love, as they do, right? They stick with us. But I really feel like there was kind of like this moment where a choice had to be made, right? Like kind of a thing like, you're going to college, they're going somewhere, you know, maybe a different college or moving to go work or whatever it is. And you had to make the decision, am I going to put off like a year of school and go live with them and travel or work as well or what? And of course, probably the people around you, your family and so on, were like, hey, come on, you know, let's think about this a little bit, right? And so I do feel like you ended up probably, you know, going the way that you had planned, which is probably like going to school or going to a trade school or, you know, getting married. No, that wouldn't work. You were like, no, I'm not going with you, but I am getting married to you. No, but whatever you were doing, right? Working, getting a house in order, building a life, whatever it was. But I feel like there was just heartbreak. And something that I almost feel like you've never been able to stop thinking about what if. Now, I don't think it's like the thing that haunts you day in and day out, but I think once in a while you start to travel back to that time, right, in your mind, and you think, well, what could have happened if I would have gone off with them? What, maybe something, miraculous, right? Maybe I would have found myself earlier, or I would have gone down a path that was, maybe more fulfilling, or, whatever it is. We all have these things in our life where there was a fork in the road. We had to make a decision, and yeah, we made the tough decision, right? Well, I feel like the universe really is. And really, I wonder, it's just like a lot of nostalgic feelings here. I feel like there's a lot of, like you're in a very sentimental place right now. And I feel like it is. It's not a test. It's not the universe like testing you, not by any means. But I feel like it's kind of this reminder. Right? It is like a mini ordeal that you might be going through. And I feel like it is kind of this reminder that you've been where you've needed to go. Right? You've done the things that you were supposed to do. You followed your intuition, if it feels like it or not, right? You maybe made some missteps, but they were things that needed to happen to get you to where you are right now. And I feel like it's, of course it's something we all do. We reminisce, we look back at our lives, we wonder what could have been. I should have done this, maybe if I did that, whatever it is. But ultimately, at least in the way that we perceive time and, now in this life that we're in, it's probably pretty linear. So there's no going back, right? There's no going back, at least in a perceivable way. And so I feel like this is, kind of not only nostalgic, but a place of acceptance for you. Now, we also have the number 62. I want to point that out, in the number 7. And over here, we just have like a smiley face. Yeah, there's like a smiley face over here. So it does end up being pretty good. But what I want to do is I want to get our oracle cards out. These are the Oracle of the Radiant Sun. And I want to ask them, kind of, can you give us any clue as to why are these memories coming up? What is it that is happening that is kind of, maybe making Sagittarius feel pretty sentimental, nostalgic, kind of reminiscing energy, but also like, where is it going, right? What's going on and where is it going? So we'll see what they'll tell us. I'm probably going to do about 6 of them. Okay, so we have publicity, eccentricity, devotion. Ooh. Okay, let's do fortune. Control. Okay, so I feel that you have some kind of work or maybe just born into a situation or married into a situation or whatever it is, where you are somebody who is known publicly. Okay. Now you might not be somebody that's like an entertainer or, you know, something like this, but you could be in like local government. You could be somebody who is like the face of a company. You know, I don't, maybe you have a, important role within your church or, you know, whatever it is. There are people who are paying attention to what you're doing, and it does affect the collective. Okay. Now, you have to understand, for me anyways, if I call somebody eccentric, it is high praise. I love the idea of being the wildly eccentric lady at the end of the block, right? That is my life goal. I can tell you all kinds of spiritual this and that, but ultimately my real life goal is to be that weird old lady with that creepy haunted house at the end of the block. And that is very cool to me. And it has been since I was a kid, right? I remember I went to a school for a few years. I was probably in about first grade. So I was about 6, 7 years old. And next to the school, there was a house, and the house was set far back on the property, and there were lots of plants and trees, and it was a little unkempt, but it was beautiful. It felt like a private grove or something. And we used to go over to the fence, and we'd look through the little, you know, chain link fence and look in there, and sometimes we would see the people that lived there, but the whole thing was everybody thought, oh, that's a witch that lives in there, right? Because it looked like a kind of a house in the woods or something. And so I remember thinking, I want to be that person. I want to hang out with that person. I want that to be my life. I want to be that archetype within the community within the tribe, right? And so when I say that it seems that maybe you know, you might be a little bit of a character, you might be a little eccentric, you might have like a very like fancy style or an aesthetic that's really well put together. I almost wonder if you're like one of those cool glasses people, you know, like we all have met them. I always meet them at like the doctors or something, like a nurse that has really like wild different frames, and they have different frames that match all their clothes, and it matches all the like, you know, pins on their ID badge, and you know what I'm talking about. So I'm wondering if maybe, you know, you have kind of a different style. Okay. Now with the devotion, I feel like you are devoted to your community, to your family, your community. You know, I think that you really like to partake in the role that you have established for yourself, that you've created for yourself. Okay. Now, I think as you've kind of gone up the ranks, right, and you've gotten into this place where I feel like, yeah, you are kind of an important person, and that, you know, relatively so, and working towards your fortune, of course, we all are, right? I feel like you have really ran into maybe people that, how should I say? People that are just, I mean, they seem like they exist in a different realm as you, right? It's like, these are like really like A-type business people, grind life, you know, just it seems like they're like perfectly put together. They're barely sleeping. They're, have 5 businesses going. They're making tons of money. Maybe it's not that extreme, but it's just like, how do you even do it, right? But also I feel like there is a sense of clickiness. And as you kind of find yourself in this place where you don't necessarily relate to the people, your peers, right? The people maybe that you work with or that you are around, your customer base or whatever it is. I could see why you sometimes like go back in your mind, right? Because I think that you're like kind of almost searching for a time when you felt fully accepted. You didn't have to have all this pomp and circumstance. You didn't have to have all of these accolades and honors and huge achievements. You were just who you were. And people in your life loved you because you just were yourself, right? And so now, as an older person and as a person who has worked really hard for where you've gone, but maybe feeling kind of misaligned, right? And I think a lot of it too is that there's a lot of like vying for control. And I think for you, it's not about the control at all. You just want to do good work. You just want to help people. You just want to kind of stack some coins and make a little something for yourself and your family. And, living in the rat race maybe is a little disheartening sometimes. And it could be that this is even kind of that situation of, we talk about this a lot here on the channel, where you've worked maybe even for years, like, college, grad school, gone into a field, worked your way up slowly into this higher and higher positioning. And then you get there and you're like, this is not what I thought it was going to be. And it can be really kind of this moment where we look at ourselves, look at our lives, and we think, who am I? Do I belong in this life? What is wrong with me that I either was like so misinformed, or I just had this completely, like a illusions about what this might be like, or, maybe I've changed on my journey. I finally got to where I've been wanting to get to, and I'm not the same person anymore. Right? I think that happens to a lot of us. And so I could see why it really, you might spend some of your time kind of going back, thinking it over, living in those memories. I think, also it's the time of year, especially if you're in the northern hemisphere and it's getting cold. Today, the high where I live is 48 degrees. I went to go check the weather because, of course, I have a kid, a toddler, well, preschooler, and I have to know, where I live, it snows. So I have to know, is it going to be warm, cold, raining, whatever? And I thought, is that the low? Or what's going on here? No, it was the high is 48 degrees. So yeah, we're getting into those cozy months, right? Where we're like a lot more, I think we slow down a little bit, and you get a little bit sentimental as we start to get towards these holidays. The huge variety of holidays that are going to be happening between now and the new year. And so I can see why maybe there is this kind of looking back. Now, if you're in the southern hemisphere, I don't know what to tell you. It's getting hot. And, it might be that you just, you're feeling a little restless, a little bit you know, kind of, I don't know, maybe disjointed a little bit. I was going to say aimless, but it's not that, because I know that you have a very clear vision of where you want to go. But I do think that, you know, at times it's just like we get there and we think, wow, this is like way different than I thought. You know, or maybe 20-year-old me was really down and into this. Now, you know, 40, I'm almost 40. So 40-year-old me, maybe not so much. For me, it's a little heartbreaking because I always romanticize the years. I was always going to like rap shows. I lived in Minneapolis and I would walk to all these like, you know, concert venues and bars and stuff to see rap and hip hop shows and electronica and noise and, you know, punk shows and all kinds of stuff. Hardcore, very loud, all of it loud. And, I sometimes think, man, you know, when I'm cooking dinner and the cats are yelling at me, the baby's yelling at me, the TV's up loud, I'm just, you know, whatever. And I think, oh, those days of youth. Now, though, honestly, so loud. I would be that person in there with like the, those headphones, the noise canceling headphones you wear for like heavy machinery. That would be me. So we do change. We absolutely do. All right, let's do our numbers now. All right, 92. Oh, right on the beak. I'm sorry, buddy. Number 12. No, 72. Sorry. 92, 72. Ooh, are we going to have another ending in 2? 12. Look! 92, 72, 12. It's just one of those days, isn't it? All right. Well, let's go ahead. We're going to do our inner child oracle cards. And these will just kind of punctuate the reading. So I'm going to flip through. I'm going to stop where it feels right. Review your responsibilities. Not all responsibilities are ours to hold. I think this is so important. I talked about this yesterday in I think my Scorpio reading. Sometimes we have to look at our lives and we have to figure out, like, where are we just continuing to do the same thing, taking responsibility for things that just don't apply to our life anymore, things that are not of service to us anymore, right? There was like I don't even know what it was, and I'm not going to really go too deeply into it because I've heard the advertisements on other channels and on podcasts and things. So unless they're going to pay me, then I'll say the name. No. But there was like some kind of program or app or whatever where it goes through all your subscriptions, right? Everything that you are subscribed to, some of it you maybe forgot about, right? And then it shows you so you can unsubscribe to things that you're not using, like, you know, some, like a, whatever. I thought of like all the music streaming things that I'm subscribed to, or like all the TV things, you know, like Hulu and Netflix and all those. And anyways, I always think of it as like, if we apply the same kind of thinking to our life, what are the things that we're doing that really don't need to be done, that really aren't our responsibility anymore? And also just kind of take up time, energy. We might even like lament doing it the whole way through, right? Here's something, ironing our clothes. That was something that I was like continuing to do. You know? And listen, there's a lot to be said for like a very freshly pressed shirt, right? But they have a lot of technology now where you can just throw most clothes can go right into the dryer, right? For a few minutes. And I didn't even know it, but my dryer has a thing where it mists it and then it dries it again, so it gets all the wrinkles out. And I'm thinking, like, how many hours of my life have I ironed things? You know? And it's just these little moments where we think about, okay, well, how can we do this more efficiently? Maybe I don't need to be doing this at all, you know? And we reclaim our time, our energy. Okay, so maybe something to think about. Maybe something to sit down and go over kind of a list of things and prioritize them. Get rid of the stuff that does not matter any longer. All right, Sagittarius, I want to tell you I love you because I do, and I thank you so much for spending this time with me. It is always such an honor to be able to bring these messages to you. And if you would be so kind as to like the video, it really does help the channel. And if you have not subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit that little bell. It'll let you know when the next readings are coming out. It is free to subscribe. And what else? No, I think that's it. Oh, comments. If you want to leave a comment, yeah, I read. Did I say that already? I don't know. Maybe I did. I was thinking about my husband. I'm sorry. I'm just, I got these little cats the other day. They were like kind of in blind boxes where you don't know which one you're going to get. Well, I got one for me and one for my husband, and he wanted the one I got, so I gave it to him. And then he lost it. And I'm trying to think where it might be. It's somewhere. We just redid some of his set, so I think it got moved somewhere. But I'm thinking, where is that dang cat? Because I want it. I'm going to take it back. All right. So Sagittarius, I love you. Take care of yourself. We're going to talk in a few days from now. Good night. Good night. Good night.